Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to talk about one of the most inevitable, painful, and yet transformative experiences of the human condition, the fall. We live in a world that is obsessed with the climb. We celebrate the summit, we toast to the victory, and we curate our lives to show only the moments of peak performance. But the truth that we often whisper and rarely scream is that the most important part of your journey is not how high you climb, but how you handle the moment you lose your footing. To bounce back is not just a catchy phrase or a hallmark sentiment. It is a primal, psychological, and spiritual requirement for anyone who dares to live a life of meaning. Before you can bounce, you must understand the gravity of the drop. Every one of you in this room has felt that sickening sensation in the pit of your stomach when a dream collapses, when a relationship ends, when a business fails, or when a personal mistake feels like a permanent stain on your character. That silence that follows a failure is the loudest sound in the universe. It is the sound of your expectations shattering against the hard floor of reality. We often treat failure as a detour, an interruption to our real life, but I am here to tell you that the fall is where the real work happens. The gravity of life is constant. It pulls at your ambition, it tugs at your energy, and occasionally it brings you to your knees. But why do we fall? We fall because we are moving. Only those who sit still, paralyzed by the fear of judgment, avoid the stumble. If you are on the ground right now, it is proof that you are trying to go somewhere. It is proof that you had the courage to step out of the shadows of what if and into the arena of what is. The first step in bouncing back is to stop apologizing for being down. We spend so much energy trying to hide our bruises and cover our scars, fearing that they make us look weak. In reality, those scars are the blueprints of your survival. They are the evidence that life tried to break you and failed. When you are at your lowest point, your vision is often blurred by tears or exhaustion, but it is also the only place where you can see the foundation of your life clearly. When everything else is stripped away, the status, the money, the external validation, what remains is your core. That core is the spring from which your bounce will originate. Bouncing back is a physical law as much as a mental one. Think about a ball. If you drop a ball made of glass, it shatters. If you drop a ball made of lead, it thuds and stays put, denting the floor and itself. But if you drop a ball made of high-quality rubber, the very force of the impact, the very gravity that pulled it down, is the energy that propels it back upward. The harder the hit, the higher the potential return. This is the secret of the bounce. You must transform the energy of your tragedy into the fuel for your recovery. You cannot wish the floor away. You cannot pretend the impact didn't happen. You must use the floor. You must use the resistance. You must use the pain as a platform. The bounce isn't a miracle, it's a redirection of force. It is the refusal to let the impact be the end of the story. It is the decision to say, the ground is not my home, it is just my current location. Many people stay down because they are waiting for someone to come and lift them up. They wait for a change in the economy, a change in their luck, or a change in someone else's heart. But the power to bounce back is internal. It is a decision made in the quiet, dark hours of the soul. It is the moment you stop looking at the height you fell from and start looking at the strength you have left in your legs. It requires a radical shift in perspective. You have to stop viewing your failure as a definition and start viewing it as a data point. What did the fall teach you about your balance? What did it teach you about your shoes, your path, or your pace? If you get back up without learning why you fell, you are simply preparing for another crash. But if you get back up with the wisdom of the descent, you are no longer just a person who fell. You are a person who is now evolved. As we move forward, I want you to look at your current struggles not as a wall, but as a floor. A wall stops you, but a floor supports you. It gives you something to push off from. This first stage of bouncing back is about acceptance. It is about standing in the wreckage of your plans and saying, "This happened, it hurts, but it is not the end. You are not your mistakes. You are not your bank account. You are not the opinion of people who weren't there when you hit the ground. You are the energy that survives the impact. And that energy, once harnessed, is the most powerful force on earth." Now that we have acknowledged the fall, we must talk about the grueling, often invisible process of the ascent. Bouncing back sounds like a sudden, explosive movement. 1 second you're down, the next you're soaring. But in human terms, the bounce is often a slow, methodical climb. It is a series of small, disciplined choices made when you have every reason to give up. This is where the grit is tested. This is where the why becomes more important than the how. If your why is not strong enough, the weight of your past will keep you pinned to the floor. You need a reason to get up that is bigger than the pain you feel. You need a vision of your future self that is more compelling than the memory of your failure. The mechanics of bouncing back require you to audit your environment. When you are trying to rise, you cannot carry the same baggage that contributed to your fall. You have to look at your circle, the people you surround yourself with. Are they gravity or are they lift? There are people who will sit with you on the floor and tell you how unfair the world is. And while that feels like comfort, it is actually a trap. It keeps you comfortable in your misery. You need people who will look you in the eye and say, "Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's unfair. Now, get up." You need to purge the toxic narratives you've been telling yourself. The story that says, "I'm too old, I'm too broken, or it's too late." These are lies designed to keep you safe from the risk of trying again. But safety is the enemy of the bounce. To bounce, you have to be willing to be vulnerable again. You have to be willing to face the possibility of falling a second, third, or fourth time. In this middle phase, momentum is your greatest ally. When you are starting from zero, the first inch is the hardest. It takes an incredible amount of energy to break the inertia of despair. This is why I tell people, don't look at the mountain, look at the next step. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, reach out and grab onto something. Just don't stay still. Every small win, waking up on time, making that one phone call, finishing that one task, adds a layer of tension to your spring. You are building the capacity to rise. You are proving to yourself, 1 minute at a time, that you are still a contender. This is the period of the great rebuilding. It is often lonely. It is often thankless. The world might not see your progress yet, but the world doesn't need to see it. You need to feel it. Resistance is a necessary part of the bounce. Think about a trampoline. The fabric has to be stretched tight. It has to be under tension. When you are going through a period of intense pressure, remember that you are being prepared for a greater height. Pressure is what turns coal into diamonds, but it is also what gives the spring its power. Do not resent the pressure. Do not run from the stress. Lean into it. Understand that your character is being tempered. You are becoming more resilient, more flexible, and more durable. The person who has never fallen has a fragile kind of strength. It is a strength that hasn't been tested. But the person who has bounced back has a battle-hardened strength. It is a strength that knows exactly what it can withstand. It is a quiet confidence that says, "I have seen the bottom and I survived it. There is nothing you can do to me that I haven't already overcome." This phase is also about forgiveness, specifically forgiving yourself. Many of us stay down because we are punishing ourselves. We become our own harshest judges, replaying our mistakes on a loop, thinking that if we suffer enough, we can atone for what went wrong. But suffering is not a strategy. Guilt is not a fuel, it's an anchor. You have to give yourself permission to move on. You have to realize that the version of you that failed is not the version of you that is standing here today. You have grown, you have learned, you have paid the price. Now it is time to collect the dividend. The bounce back is an act of self-love. It is the ultimate statement that you believe your future is worth more than your past. It is the refusal to let a chapter define the whole book. You are the author, and you are currently writing the most exciting plot twist in your history. As we reach the final stage of our journey, we must ask, what does it look like when you finally reach the peak of that bounce? Does it look like the place you were before? No. If you have done the work, you will find that you haven't just returned to your previous level, you have surpassed it. This is the phenomenon of post-traumatic growth. It is the reality that humans have the capacity to not only recover from adversity, but to be fundamentally improved by it. When you bounce back, you gain a perspective that the unfallen can never have. You gain an empathy for others who are struggling. You gain a clarity about what truly matters. You stop sweating the small things because you've survived the big things. The new horizon you reach is built on a foundation of anti-fragility. A fragile thing breaks under stress. A robust thing resists stress. But an anti-fragile thing, like your spirit, actually gets better because of stress. You are now a person who knows how to navigate the storm. You had become the captain of your soul in a way you never were when the seas were calm. But the height of the bounce also brings a new responsibility. Once you have risen, you have a duty to be a lighthouse for those still in the dark. Your story of bouncing back is not just for you. It is a survival manual for someone else. When people see you standing tall after everything you've been through, it gives them permission to believe in their own recovery. Your success becomes a beacon. Never forget that the bounce is a continuous cycle. Life will try to knock you down again. The economy will shift, health will fluctuate, and hearts will break. But the next time it happens, you won't be afraid. You will look at the ground and recognize it as familiar territory. You will know exactly what to do. You will know how to tuck, how to roll, and how to push off. You have mastered the art of the rebound. You have discovered that your potential is not a fixed ceiling. It is a limitless sky. The only way you truly lose in life is if you stay down. If you keep getting up, you are technically undefeated. I want you to take a moment and feel the power in your own story. Think about the times you thought you wouldn't make it. Think about the nights you cried yourself to sleep, certain that the morning wouldn't bring hope. And yet, here you are. You are breathing. You are listening. You are dreaming. That is the bounce in action. That is the miracle of your existence. You are a masterpiece in progress, and the mistakes are just the texture that makes the art interesting. The world doesn't need more perfect people who have never struggled. The world needs more people who have been broken into 1,000 pieces and had the audacity to glue themselves back together in a way that is even more beautiful than before. So, as you leave here today, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are made of the stuff that rises. It is in your DNA. It is in your history. It is in your future. No matter how deep the hole, no matter how hard the hit, no matter how long you've been down, you have the capacity to bounce. Do not look at the ground with shame. Look at it with gratitude for the leverage it provides. Stretch your wings, find your footing, and prepare for the ascent. The air is thinner up there, the view is better, and you have earned every bit of the sun on your face. This is your moment. This is your rise. This is your bounce back. Go out there and show the world what happens when a person refuses to stay defeated. Show them the height that can be reached when you use your failures as a springboard. Your best days are not behind you. They are being built right now on the strength of your recovery. Rise up. Stay up. And if you fall, you know exactly what to do.